So today again, we will be reading 15 minutes of stories, and these let your kids and also you can also watch this on your free time. These stories are very good. You can tell those stories, like if your kids cannot watch that, these stories, you can watch it, and later on you can tell them those stories in your free time, or maybe as like their bedtime stories. So we all know that stories are very helpful. Whatever message sometimes you want to give it to your kids, it's always better that not to tell them directly but tell them through a story. So let's start today's session of 15 minute of 10 to 15 minute of stories time. Let's start with this story. I hope you can see my screen. So I'll start with this story. The first story of the day is The Thieves. King Sri Krishna Deva Rayalu of Vijayanagar would often visit who begged him to reduce their punishment. They even went on to describe for the king how stealing was a Vedic art. Looking through their cunning, the king decided to catch them red-handed. He said, "All right, let's make a deal. You two thieves will have to steal from the house of my minister, Tenali Rama. If you will do it without getting caught, you shall be freed from prison. However, there is only one condition. You cannot harm the household." That night, the thieves were let out from prison so that they could go and rob from Tenali Rama's house. Rama at that time was busy tending to the garden he was growing around his house. Being an alert man, he at once noticed the two thieves hiding behind some bushes. He called out to his wife, "I hear that two burglars have escaped from prison. Please bring all the jewelry and valuables that we have in the house and keep them here so that they are safe." Soon the burglars saw Tenali and his wife drag a heavy box to the well and throw it inside. They felt that this was indeed their lucky day, as stealing from Rama's house would not be any trouble at all. As soon as Rama went back inside, they walked over to the well. One of them stood guard and the other one went down to retrieve the box. As there was a lot of water in the well, he called out to the other thief and asked him to help him pull some water out of the well. As they kept dumping the water onto the garden, Tenali walked back quietly behind them and started directing the water towards the plants. The thieves went on pouring water over the courtyard for quite some time. Once the water level in the well was reduced, they went back to bring out the box. As they managed to come out of the well, they were shocked to see that the box only contained stone. Suddenly they heard Tenali speak from behind, "Come on, boys. Only 2 more plants need to be watered. It's almost dawn. Let's finish the job first." Realizing that Tenali has outsmarted them completely, the two thieves ran back straight to prison. King Ralu met them the next day in prison and said, "Well, it looks like you will still need to master the Vedic art of stealing. Ha ha ha. You can do that during your stay here for the rest of the term. The day you can rob from Tenali Rama, you will know that you are the true masters." So did you like the story? Please comment below if you like the story. So let's read our second story. A satisfying Ramayana recital. Once upon a time, when the town of Vikram Simlapuri was under the rule of King Sri Krishna Deva Rayalu, there lived an extremely beautiful woman there by the name of Kanchana Mala. Now, this woman was known through the whole city as being extremely cunning. She would ask scholars to give her a satisfying recital of Ramayana. If they succeed in satisfying her, she would give them huge reward. However, if they fail to do so, then they would be compelled to work in her house as her slaves. As more and more scholars took her offer, the number of slaves in her house kept increasing. None of the scholars were able to satisfy her. One day, Tenali Rama visited the city Simlapuri on some official business of the king. As he sat down to discuss the city's problem with the scholars, he was informed about the scheming Kanchanmala. An old scholar told him everyone to her to claim the reward, but the woman could never be satisfied. Many great minds are now working in her house as her slaves. Tenali Rama was shocked to hear this. He decided to teach this woman a lesson. He told the scholars, "Will one of you please go and tell her that I will be calling upon her in the evening to recite the Ramayana? I guarantee that she will be extremely satisfied with what I have to offer." Knowing that Kanchanmala's time was up, the scholars decided to go and give her the message. By evening, Tenali Rama visited Kanchanmala. She greeted him with warmth and welcomed him into her house. Rama said, "Madam, I vouch that when I recite the Ramayana, you will feel that it is happening before your very eyes. You shall indeed be satisfied this time." Kanchanmala smiled and replied, "I am indeed looking forward to your recital, sir. However, I hope that you know about the reward and the punishment that may be in store for you later." "Yes, I am aware of all that. I, however, must ask you for one favor. You are not to stop me from carrying out my recital in any way. I hope I have the liberty to do whatever I feel is necessary to satisfy you." After Kanchanmala's approval, the Rama started reciting the epic. After a point, he started jumping on her beds and spoke of the way in which Hanuman wrecked the city of Lanka. He broke most of the stuff that was there in the room and even set fire to her clothes. As she tried to protest, Rama reminded her of the condition that he had set before he began his performance. Finally, in order to save herself, she ran out of the burning house and headed straight for court of justice. After hearing her story, the judge asked Rama what he had to say in reply. Tenali Rama told him about how she had been cheating learned scholars and making them slaves in her house. The judge understood Rama's point and awarded the judgment in his favor. This also helped him in freeing the other scholars who were trapped in Kanchanmala's house. So did you like this story? Please comment below that which story you like most. So I'll read the last story of the day, that is Black Dog, White Cow. Let's read. I have also not read this story. One morning, King Sri Krishna Deva Rayalu of the Vijayanagar Empire got up a little early from his sleep. Still sleepy, he ordered the guard standing there to fetch the barber. As he waited for the barber to arrive, King Rayalu once again fell back into deep sleep. When the barber saw the king asleep on his arrival, he was in a fix. Neither could he wake up the king up, nor could he leave without carrying out his duties. Finally, after much deliberation, the barber decided to shave the king's beard and also cut his hair without disturbing his sleep. When King Rayalu woke up, he was enraged at not finding the barber there. As he got up to punish the barber, he saw his own reflection in the mirror and was amazed to see that he had already done his job. Very pleased with the barber, the king summoned him and said, "I am very impressed with what I see. I offer you a boon, so ask for anything that you desire." Overjoyed, the barber folded his hand and said, "My lord, it has always been my fondest wish that I become a Brahman. Please make the wish of mine come true." King Rayalu was surprised to hear the man's request, but told him that it would be done anyway. Next day, he called all the Brahmins to court and told him about the barber's desire.
"If you will convert him into a Brahman, I shall give you big rewards." On hearing the words rewards, the Brahman immediately nodded and agreed to do the needful. However, deep within their hearts, they were extremely unhappy about the whole episode. They went to Tenali Rama and told him about it. How can the king grant such a boon? How is this ever going to work? Rama asked them to return to their house and get ready for the ritual tomorrow.
Meanwhile, he would try and see if there was any way in which he could handle the situation. Next morning, the barber and the Brahmin all gathered on the riverbank where the puja had begun. Close by, Tenali Rama was also chanting some verses from the scriptures before a black dog, not paying any attention to the royal ceremony. Curious, the king walked up to him and asked him, "What is this that you are doing, Rama?" "Oh, my lord, I am actually transforming this black dog into a white cow." Taken aback, the king replied, "Tenali, have you gone mad? How can you change a black dog, or for that matter, any dog, into a cow?" Tenali Rama humbly replied, "Why, sir, if that a barber can be converted into a Brahmin, why cannot I change black dog into a white cow?" Seeing through Tenali Rama's argument, King Rayalu took back the boon and asked the Brahmin to stop the ceremony. With that, I am closing today's session. Did you like today's live? Please comment below so that I also get little bit of enthu to continue the live. And if you want to watch these stories later on or listen to these stories later on, you can go back to my YouTube channel and my podcast, and you can let your kids listen to those stories